Let's do some dirty work. Welcome back, everyone, to more from the Sable Eyes. I'm Mitch, and today I'm going to take a look at Rhydon. This is a card that came out a little while ago, but it's only now that I'm really starting to take a look at it. It was quite successful in one of the Hegster Series tournaments that happened over the last week. It's a very interesting card, and instead of taking prizes, it's going to allow us to mill our opponent's cards and force them to lose via deck out. So we'll take a look at a list in just a second. If you want to check out the one that we will be playing, then jump down into the description. There's the list there for you. You can copy that straight into PTCGO and play along if you'd like. Whilst you're there, give the video a like. That would be great. I've already recorded this video once, but my microphone didn't work, so I'm going to try and rush through it nice and quickly, and we'll see how the list is supposed to work. Here we have it. This is the list that we've got built for Rhydon today. Here's the card, Rhydon, 110 HP, Stage 1 Pokemon, has the attack Dirty Work. For 2 colorless energy, we can discard the top card of our opponent's deck, which is, acceptable. But if we played Giovanni's Exile, which is a supporter that allows us to discard benched Pokemon, then we can discard the top 5 cards instead. So I'm going to try and combine this card with Giovanni's Exile. This is Giovanni's Exile if you haven't seen it before. We discard up to 2 of our opponents, of our benched Pokemon that have no damage counters on them, and all cards attached to them. If we've played that during our turn, then Dirty Work allows us to discard 5 cards, which is a pretty solid amount when you think about it. Most people are going to pretty much thin themselves down to 40 or 30 cards. If we can play Dirty Work a couple of times, we'll go a long way to trying to get the victory. And obviously we're not going to be able to mill every single card that way. We've got to have some other means of milling. The other way we're going to try and do it through a Pokemon is with Alolan Muk, another Stage 1 Pokemon. This time, we're not going to be attacking. Instead, we're going to be using the ability Adventurous Appetite. This means that when we play this card from our hand to evolve an Alolan Grimer, we will be able to take a look at the top 6 cards on our opponent's deck, see any item cards that we've got in those top 6, and discard them, shuffling the rest of those cards back into the deck. So this can potentially discard up to 6 cards if there are 6 items. It is a bit of a gamble though, because sometimes you might miss and not discard anything. So it is worth being aware of that risk. We've got a 3-3 line of Alolan Muk and obviously a 4-4 line of Rhydon. I will very quickly talk about Grimer as well. It is interesting in the fact that it has a free attack, Collect, allows us to draw 2 cards. So worst case scenario, we can always attack for free with Alolan Grimer in the early game. Although to be fair, we'd probably prefer to just put down a Zacian V instead. We've got one of those in the list, and use Intrepid Sword instead, because that'll draw us 3 cards instead of 2. Our other Pokemon in the deck, we've got 3 Dedenne-GX and 1 Crobat V. It's a lot of draw support, but that's because we aren't playing a lot of draw supporters. We obviously want to use Giovanni's Exile as often as we can, so we need to substitute a draw method in there. We're going to try and use the Dedenne and Crobat to do that. We can also use Mewtwo. We've got 1 copy of Mind Report Mewtwo in the list. We can use that to potentially put some supporters back into the deck. We can put an Exile on top, maybe a Marnie or something like that. We can reuse it multiple times with Scoop Up Net. So it is pretty flexible. Most of the time we'll be trying to grab ourselves maybe like a boss or even a Lieutenant Surge, which I'll talk about in a second. Our last Pokemon is Mew. This is an important card in this deck because we don't want our opponent being able to take prizes on benched Pokemon. We've got so many of them, we would much rather not have them sniped by damage. We want them to go through things like Lily's Clefairy-Doll, or Pokédoll, sorry, before they take knockouts on our benched Pokemon. So if we can force them to have a gust of some kind, that would be great. We've got 3 copies of Lily's Pokédoll to deal with any of our opponent's attacks. Some other items, we've got Pokemon Search and Quick Ball. It's our only Pokemon Search in the deck. We've got 4 Quick Ball here. We're going to have to just manually draw into our Rhydons. There's no way to search them out, but there is a way we can recur them. We've got Lana's Fishing Rod. We play this because we want to shuffle Pokemon back in, but we also want to reuse tools. Another way that we can potentially mill some of our opponent's cards is by using Cursed Shovel. We have 4 of this particular tool in the deck. and attach it to our active Pokemon, and then if that Pokemon's knocked out by damage from attacks from our opponent, then we discard the top 2 cards from their deck. And we can attach this to anything, even our Lily's Pokédoll. If we attach it to that, not only does our opponent not take prizes, they also have to mill 2 of their own cards. So that can be a nice little combination, and Lana's Fishing Rod allows us to get 2 of those back at any point in the game. Our only other item in the deck is Rhyhorn. This is a new card from Darkness Ablaze. Very simple effect. Both active Pokemon are now confused. It's not too crazy. It's as simple as that. But for us, we don't really mind if our Pokemon are confused. Like Lily's Pokédoll doesn't matter if it's confused, whatever. If we've got like a Rhyhorn in the active, we can confuse it, and that's fine because we can just evolve it straight into a Rhydon. It's not a problem. That'll obviously get rid of the confusion. And if we've got Muk in the active, maybe we're trying to tank some hits, we can just confuse this. Who cares? We're not attacking with it. It doesn't make a difference. So we're going to be able to use Rhyhorn to stop our opponent from having that consistent attack. They're going to have to flip a coin, have a 50-50 chance of doing the damage that they want, and half of the time we will be in the clear. Now, I've already spoken a little bit about supporters. Obviously, Giovanni's Exile is important. We have 2 more copies of a card with Giovanni on it. Boss's Orders. I'm going to use this to stall our opponent out and try and force them to find more resources to get out of the active, so we can potentially use that to bring out things like, well, I don't know, anything with a retreat that's higher than 1 is a pretty good target, to be honest. We also have 4 copies of Marnie as our only draw supporter in the deck. It's a pretty solid one, though, because it allows us to shuffle our opponent's hand to the bottom of the deck and force them to draw new cards. And we can potentially use this to accelerate our win condition. If they have a hand lower than 4, we can put cards from the deck into their hand to try and steal a victory at the end. It's not ideal, but it is definitely worth pursuing. And we also have 2 copies of Lieutenant Surge's Strategy, because we will be behind for most of the game. We're not taking any prizes. We are unlikely to have to deal with that. And the best thing about Lieutenant Surge is we can play like Surge and then Giovanni's Exile and then boss out something that's almost impossible for our opponent to retreat and then mill 5 cards with Dirty Work. So it's a really, really potent combination. We've got 7 energy in the deck. We've got 3 copies of Capture Energy and 4 copies of Twin. Twin obviously provides the attack cost for our Rhydon, but Capture Energy can be very useful as well. It can help us find things in the early game. Maybe we want to find a Grimer because we've got an Alolan Muk in hand. Maybe we need to find more Rhyhorn, or maybe we just want to find ourselves our Zacian V. It's a really good way to search that Pokemon out in the early game to then Intrepid Sword and attack later. So this is the Rhydon list. I actually think this is pretty cool. Also, incidentally, we've got 10 cards in this list that have Giovanni on them, because Rhydon's got Giovanni in the art as well. So we've got 4 there, 2 there, 4 in the Exile, we've got 2 in the Boss, and we've got 4 in the Rhydon. How's that for a fun fact? Let's jump onto the ladder and see if we can get some games with this deck. They're going to take a while, though, because we're going to be milling instead of taking prizes. Alright, let's play some games with Rhydon Mill. I've been playing this deck for a little bit. It's pretty good. We'll go first since we've won the coin flip. It's pretty good, but it is quite tough to get consistent wins with it. So definitely a fun deck to try, but it's worth persisting. I probably should have started with this Grimer, to be fair, because this hand isn't very good. I didn't really look at what I had access to. We look to be playing up against, I don't know, maybe like a Rillaboom deck here with Rowlet and Alolan Exeggutor. Maybe it's the Butterfree version of this deck, which I've seen floating around. Well, this Rowlet seems like we're looking at the Decidueye then. Maybe seeing the Super Growth to evolve those Rowlets nice and quickly. This is going to be a little bit awkward because oh, okay, we're going to get Marnied, so I was about to say our hand's not very good. It's also going to be awkward because Rhyhorn and Rhydon have a Grass weakness, so that is not ideal. We did not get anything off of that Marnie at all, really. We have a Rhydon, which is okay. We've got a Mew, which will be handy for later. We don't need to play it down now. Yeah, not an ideal hand, to say the very least. But, you know, it should be fine. I think the fact that this Roweggs is in play is actually really good for us, because at some point later in this game we'll be able to gust it up and stall it active. I'm just going to fill out my bench here. We'll attach to the Rhyhorn. If they choose to knock it out, they'll mill themselves a couple of cards, but Yeah, I almost definitely should have started with the Grimer there. I got a little bit too happy to see a ton of Rhyhorn in my hand. So, yeah, if I had started with the Grimer, we could have collected there for 2 cards. That's okay. We'll see how we go. It looks like Pokecom is finding another Rowlet. Our opponent might just be content to super growth again. But hey, the more they thin from their deck, the better off we're gonna be. Well, they're already down to 40 cards, and they haven't really done too much yet. We're not at any risk of losing the game anytime soon, so very, very positive signs for us. We found a Capture Energy. That's not ideal. We'll attach to the active and then just Horn Attack. Oh, what I should have done is I should have got rid of the Lily's Pokédoll. If I had got rid of one of the Pokédolls, then I could have used the Capture Energy to find a Zacian. I am all over the place in this game. Whoops. Oh, and the last card in their hand was Research. Okay. This is fine, though. They're still drawing cards. They're halfway through their deck already, so at some point I am going to be able to start thinning. And the thing to remember with this deck as well is that you're not going to be getting what you want early. So you're going to be trying to draw through your deck as quickly as possible to get as many cards as you can, and then milling towards the late game. You just don't want your opponent to be able to accelerate beyond you. That's part of the problem. We're going to see a Splitting Arrow here. It's going to take a knockout on the active. That will mean that they mill 2 cards from their deck. That's a Quick Ball and a Crushing Hammer, which are pretty good cards to get rid of. We'll put a Pokédoll in the active and see what we can do. Not a lot going on here, to be honest. I think I'm just going to boss up this benched Roweggs now. I will use Pokédoll's ability to put this Grimer in the active now, though, because I do need to draw some cards. So let's get cracking with that. We'll collect for 2. We've found a Quick Ball and a Yellhorn, so at least we've got something to do next turn. We're going to hope that they don't have a switch, or at least that they need to dig to try and find one. Even if they knock out our Grimer, it's fine. We can promote the Pokédoll, and then we'll probably put down the Mew at that point and then go from there. They've got Mallow and Lana, so that's going to get them out of the active. And now Splitting Arrow will take another prize for them, but again, that's okay. We don't really have any issues with that. As long as we play down our Mew at some point, those extra damage counters won't be a problem. So there's the attack, the knockout on the active. 40 damage on both of our Rhyhorn now. We'll promote the Rhyhorn probably, because I'm gonna just get the stuff that I need. Let's just get the stuff. What do you reckon? Let's evolve the active. Oh no, let's use Yellhorn to confuse, and then I'll evolve the active. Oh, now you're thinking. And we can Quick Ball. We probably Quick Ball away. Quick Ball. No, we'll get rid of this Scoop Up now. We don't. Well, I was going to say because we can use the Quick Ball to thin something else, but there's nothing really in here that I want to thin. I just want a Dedenne. So let's just Dedenne. Could have scooped up that Rhyhorn, but that's okay. It's not the end of the world. We found the Twin Energy, which is good. We don't have access to the what do you call it? The Giovanni here, but I think I'm going to attach it and start attacking anyway. Put some pressure on this Decidueye, maybe force them to retreat into a new one. Getting rid of an energy is a good thing there for us, because it's going to force them to have one in hand. Of course, they do have one. I think I've played this game really poorly, actually. I'm seeing many ways that I could have gone about this in a better state. But that's okay. If they do choose to attack us here, they're going to have to flip 50-50. They can retreat, because obviously being confused doesn't restrict their movement. Looks like they're going for Mallow and Lana here, off of the Cynthia and Caitlyn. So it could be that they're just like happy to sit and wait. I guess that's not too bad for us. If that's the case, we can really get going here. We've got a couple of things that we can do, and we'll be desperately looking to try and find that Giovanni's Exile. See what they plan on doing. It doesn't look like they're going to retreat. I don't think that they want to use that. They don't want to use that energy up. The Pokemon catcher here is a Tails. They've got a second one. They're probably going to try and target down this Mew here. They've got the heads. No, just a Grimer. Okay, cool. So they don't feel comfortable retreating. That's fine. What I'll do is I'll play down this Alolan Muk. We'll be able to hopefully discard some cards here. We've got 2 that we can get rid of. Switch is pretty good, because that means that a boss late game will be pretty strong. We will promote the Lily's Pokédoll because I want to put this Grimer back down, but I also want to have space for a Dedenne or Crobat. We can Lily's Pokédoll and put this card on the bottom of the deck, and then grab Dedenne or Crobat. It just depends on what we feel most comfortable with. That's Quick Ball. Let's just see if they're both in there. Get rid of the... There's only Dedenne, so yeah, that's okay. We'll get rid of the Muk. We will use Lily's Pokédoll. We'll put the Rhydon in the active. I think it's probably worth like scooping up this Rhyhorn just for the sake of it. Get rid of that damage, I suppose, because we don't need another Rhydon this turn. What we do need is Giovanni's Exile, which we have. That's fantastic. We can use that. Get rid of one of our Dedennes. I don't think we need to get rid of both. We can save one for later. And then Dirty Work, which will discard 5 cards from our opponent's deck. Pretty good stuff. Alright, now our opponent needs to make a decision about what they are going to do. Are they planning on, I don't know, on attacking us here with the active? Are they going to switch into the benched one? They've got that Mallow and Lana in hand, so they will almost definitely take a prize here. But if they knock out the Rhydon, then they'll go down to 14 cards in deck. So it's a pretty solid situation to be in. Here's the Mallow and Lana, so Splitting Arrow will be their attack of choice. There goes 2 more cards from the deck. They're down to 14 now. They get to take a prize, which is annoying. They're down to 3 prizes taken now, but that's okay. I think we promote the Grimer. It's not a big deal if it gets knocked out. Oh, a Muk. That's pretty good. Okay, so we can evolve the Muk in the active. I mean, we can Yellhorn first, but it doesn't really matter. Let's see what we can get rid of here. Oh, 3 cards and another switch. Perfect. So at some point in this game, I can gust that Alolan Exeggutor and Rowlet it into the active, and that will be pretty powerful. I'm thinking we're just going to leave it here, and Intrepid Sword, we've got a Rhydon and a couple of energy there as well. So we've got access to our attack next turn. They won't be able to knock us out, but they might choose to like Gust if they have the option. They might like Gust and try and knock out the Mew, which I'd be more than happy with. Here comes a Marnie, so that's a bit annoying because it's going to get rid of our Rhydons. As long as we find a couple of decent cards, so we should be fine. Got a Giovanni's Exile, a Muk, a couple of Pokédolls. Nothing amazing, and they've hit the head, so they are going to be knocking out our Mew here. Oh no, they didn't retreat. They chose to just flip for it. Okay, cool. We can play down this Lily's Pokédoll. I think then we just Marnie. We're looking for a scoop up net here if we can find one, and we've got one. So this is beautiful. We can scoop up the Mew and then put the Pokédoll in the active. I think that's probably the best way to go about it because we've got the twin energy. Let's scoop up. We'll scoop up the Mew. We'll put the doll in the active. We can play to the Mew down. We can attach the energy. We're not going to get punished for that, I don't think. And then we can Intrepid Sword. And we've got ourselves a pretty solid turn next turn because we can Surge, we can Yellhorn if we have to, we can Boss and Marnie. Whether we want to Boss and Marnie is another question because we can potentially... let's stop thinking about that because we've been Marnied. Okay, so what are we looking for? We're looking for Rhydon. At the moment we don't have it, but we do have Cursed Shovel. So that's pretty good. Oh, Crushing Hammer. Of course they play Crushing Hammer. I knew that. I've discarded one. Okay, so I shouldn't have attached that Twin Energy. That was a bit silly. We've still got 2 left, though, so it's not a problem. And most importantly, our opponent's down to 8 cards left in deck. So we are in a pretty solid position. You would think that now they would have to start retreating. Here they go. So Splitting Arrow now will take a knockout on the Pokédoll, but most importantly, it won't take any prizes. So that's really good for us. I think we just promote the Muk. Because we could gamble on the Rhydon, or we could just put the Muk in the active and then just presume that our opponent's not going to be able to knock it out. Not going to be able to do anything, really. So we'll use the Cursed Shovel, get another Rhyhorn back. We can probably play this Cursed Shovel here down, and then Marnie. Try and find ourselves a couple of cards. We've got another Pokédoll, which is good, and we can Yellhorn as well to try and force them to retreat or flip a coin. And we've actually just Intrepid sorted into the perfect 3 cards here. We've got Exile, Surge, and Marnie. That means if they do knock us out, which again I don't think is likely, maybe they boss and knock out a Mew or something like that, we have access to pretty much all that we want in the 3 supporters in our hand. So a very good position to be in, and our opponent only has 7 cards left in deck. So if they do knock something on our bench out, then we are going to be in a really good spot. They're going for it here, so that'll definitely be the Mew. This time the Mew's getting knocked out, but I think it's just a little bit too little too late here. We are going to need to find 2 cards to put this game pretty close to beyond doubt. And they'll go to 7 cards in deck. Let's move this Pokédoll into the active. They'll go down to 7, they'll be on 7 cards in deck, so that's pretty good. I'll put the Pokédoll down. I'm going to Surge. I'm going to Exile and discard the Dedenne. Then I will just Marnie. I don't think we really need another Rhyhorn in this game. We've found Rhydon and the energy. That's perfect. Okay. We could put the Grimer. I actually don't think it's a good idea to do that, because we don't want to give our opponent easy prizes. At the moment, we're in a pretty solid position when it comes to prizes, so we don't want to make it easier for our opponent than it already is. And we also have Giovanni's Exile in hand for next turn, so if they choose not to take a knockout, which would be weird, because they need to win by taking prizes, but if they choose not to, then we can win next turn. Although they only have 2 cards left, 1 card left in deck, they might not want to take a knockout, because if they take a knockout with this shovel, then they'll lose. Ordinary Rod will do the job though. That'll give them access to a couple more cards. So it looks like they've got a Dartrix to put back in and 2 Grass Energies. That'll get their deck up to 4. And then if they Splitting Arrow, which they're doing, they're going to discard 2 cards. I actually think that we're almost just guaranteed to win this game. I don't think there's a way that our opponent could possibly get enough damage done, especially with the cards that they have access to. We'll put the Pokédoll in the active. I think we just attach the shovel and then Intrepid Sword. There's nothing that our opponent can do about this. And we've got the boss in hand now, so if they do choose to take a knockout, if they do choose to attack the Muk with a boss or something like that, we can just boss up their benched 3 Retreat GX, and we should be absolutely fine. So I think we've done it. They're just going to go for the Splitting Arrow. There's the knockout. And there's their last card gone. So yeah, all we need to do now is just pass, and the game is ours. How good is that? Just done? Moving on. Got the win with Mill. Fantastic. Let's do that one again. Alright, so we'll go with one more, depending on how long it goes for, obviously, because these games do take a long time, because you're obviously winning in a less conventional way. I'm getting really lucky on coin flips. I always win coin flips on PTCGO. This isn't me, selecting specific games because I've won the coin flip. It just happens way too frequently. Not that I'm going to complain about winning the coin toss all the time. Looks like we're going up against a fire deck here, so it could be like Center Scorch, maybe Charizard, like Salamence stuff, maybe. This hand's pretty average. Oh, yuck. Okay. Let's just attach a Capture Energy. Let's grab a... Or we should probably grab the Zacian. I was about to say, let's grab a Grimer. No, we should probably grab the Zacian. I hate the fact that we've got 2 Twin Energy in our hand. With the Dedenne, we don't want to discard them. We'll just use Intrepid Sword here. Hopefully we can get ourselves a decent setup, and hopefully our opponent's not too quick. Although if they weld it to a Heatran or something, that would be really bad. Seeing a Tag Call here. Maybe looking at Reshizard? I don't know. Maybe they've just got a tag team engine for supporters. I'm not sure. Maybe it's Mewtwo. Maybe it's Welder Mewtwo. Just waiting. Ooh, Moltres Zapdos Articuno. This is a cool deck, actually. I've not played it before, but it is super, super sweet. And it is on my list, actually, of decks to play. So if you check out the channel in the next couple of days, you'll probably see me playing this one, because it is pretty cool. That means now they're probably going to be looking for a Victini, and they've got a Quick Ball here, so they'll probably go grabbing that. This Victini with Victory Sign means that they can attach multiple different coloured energy from their deck. I think it's 2. They've got a research here, and there's the Moltres Zapdos Articuno. It's got 2 really good attacks. 210's their first attack for 4 energy, and then they've got a GX attack that does like 110 to everything in play. So I think we're going to need to find the Mew here to make sure that our cards don't get knocked out, because I mean, Rhydon only has 110 HP, so it's going to be pretty awkward, and wouldn't you know it, we've just drawn into another twin. Fantastic. Well, I guess we're just going to attach one to the active. I think we boss, actually. I think we boss up the one with no energy, and then just Intrepid Sword, because I still don't want a Dedenne, because I don't want to lose all of this energy. At least this time, okay, this is fine. We've got Giovanni's Exile, so worst case scenario, we can play down something and then mill some of the cards from our opponent's deck. As long as they don't switch, if they switch, that would be quite frustrating, because we've got no follow-up for that. Although, to be fair, we do have the doll, so we can just put that in the active and keep Intrepid sorting. But it's not ideal. There's a welder onto the benched Zapdos Moltres Articuno. Moltres, Zapdos, Articuno. It's in a weird order, because like it should be Articuno, Zapdos, and Moltres, because that's the order that the Pokemon are in. Pokemon Company. Okay, so they've not done anything here, and we've been given a Marnie. Oh, this is awkward, because what we could do is I think we just Marnie this hand away, right? Because we don't want to like commit to anything. We don't want to have all that energy. This is a much better hand. So what we can do is we can play down the Mew. Well, we need access to that. We can play down the Rhyhorn. We can play down the Pokédoll. We can attach the Cursed Shovel to the active, and then Intrepid Sword. And now, even if we do get knocked out, I mean, it's whatever. This is fine. They're going to mill some of their cards anyway. That will be really, really good for us. So we don't want to sit with like a dead hand with no energy. That would be really unfortunate. Our opponent's still locked in the active, so they need to find a switch or retreat option. This card has 3 retreats, so it's very awkward to get out of the active. They could like Welder. They could potentially do it. Or maybe they're going for a Dedenne or Crobat here. Yeah, Crobat will probably get them enough cards to find a switch. If they do that, then they can probably take an easy knockout on our active with their benched bird trio. Just a matter of whether they find it. There's the switch. But in finding that switch, they've gone down to 21 cards in deck. They're going to take a knockout here, but it's only worth 1 prize, and we get 2 of their cards to mill, and it was Boss and Welder, so that's really, really good. We'll put the Pokédoll in the active here and see what we can do. I kind of want to like chase the mill with Rhyhorn here. We've got Curse Shovel. We've got Lieutenant Surge and Marnie. So what we could do is we could like bench the Rhyhorn. We could attach the shovel. Is it worth chasing it? I think it is. Let's Surge. Let's Marnie. And we'll see if we can't get the... Okay, well, we can't get it. So, I was about to say. We'll see if we can't get the mill here. Although we could go with the Quick Ball and Dedenne. In that case, we'd probably like Yellhorn. That will confuse both of us. We can Lily's Clefairy that away. We'll put the Mew in the active. Just get rid of that 10 damage counter from the Zigzagoon, because that's annoying. We'll put another Pokédoll in the active. Play down Mew. We will Quick Ball away another Pokédoll. Let's find Crobat. We can hold on to the Scoop Up Net this way. And if we get 3 cards, we'll be loving it. Okay, didn't get it. Didn't get it. I mean, we can, what can we do? We can attach the Capture Energy. Probably put the Curse Shovel on the active. We probably could have just put it on the Mew, because they're going to try and target that down. I just clicked Done. I should have clicked Intrepid Sword, but I just clicked Done. Oh, well, that's alright, I got too excited. They're still confused and they don't have access to a water and a fire energy on their bench, Zapdos, Moltres, and Articuno yet, so if their bird trio has to flip for it, it is a 50-50 shot, and they got the boss, so they're going to go for this Mew here. They missed the flip. Oh, that's no good. That's really bad for them. We can just scoop that Mew up, get it out of the active, and put the Pokédoll back, and yeah, and then I think we just make sure that we remember to Intrepid Sword. I think that's the key. Put the Pokédoll in the active, play the Mew back down, and then Intrepid Sword. Ooh, they've given us the win. There you go, 2 in a row. So there's the list. There it is in action. A very fun deck if you're looking for an alternate win condition. It's a lot of fun, actually. I really enjoyed it. And it's not like other control decks, because you're not trying to stop your opponent from playing. You're just trying to mill their cards before they have an opportunity to win the game. So I don't have a problem with that. If you're actively milling, that's a pretty solid strategy to me. I really enjoyed playing this one, and I hope that you do as well. If you want to play it card for card, it's down in the description. You can check it out down there whilst you're there. Subscribe to the channel. You can click the button that's over this side. There it is. You can click there to subscribe if you'd like. Like the video also, so that the algorithm shares this with more people. On the left side of the screen, there's some videos. On the right, there's a playlist for more Darkness Ablaze, deck profiles, and gameplay. Thank you everyone for coming along as usual, and I'll see you next time for more from the Stabilize. Bye.